This was the week where the nation commemorated 20 years since the attacks of 9/11, and former President George W. Bush continued to resuscitate his warmongering image thanks to the 9/11 of presidents, Donald Trump. Bush spoke in an event commemorating the day in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, the crash site of Flight 93 that was destined for the Capitol building. Who knew that 20 years later, on January 6th, extremists would in fact successfully complete that attack? Dubya spoke about the rise of domestic extremism in the United States. Very interesting. I want to play this for you.
And we have seen growing evidence that the dangers to our country can come not only across borders, but from violence that gathers within. There is little cultural overlap between violent extremists abroad and violent extremists at home. But in their disdain for pluralism, in their disregard for human life, in their determination to defile national symbols, they are children of the same foul spirit, and it is our continuing duty to confront them.
Okay. Who's he talking about? So he said that there can be dangers and threats coming from inside, and everyone's lauding this as like, he's decrying what happened on January 6th. He's talking about white nationalism. He's talking about anti-government, ideologies. And I had to listen to this, Jesse, like 3 different times to fully understand whether or not that's what he was talking about. Because say what you will about Bush, like he was still of the ilk of like flowery neoconservative like language, and our like little brains are so used to like hearing Trump, say the same like 12 word cloud over and over again. But he says, they don't have a lot in common ideologically, but they hate pluralism. I think he meant pluralism.
Pluralism. Oh,
pluralism. That took him so long to get his mouth around too. Practicing that. But like, and it's like, I think he is, yes, in the end of the day, probably talking about, some extremism coming from the right. But honestly, I feel like if you're a Republican, you'd listen to that and you'd be like, yep, Black Lives Matter, So, okay, I want to play you a little bit more about, because he doesn't know sort of where this came from, Yeah. He was like, why is we has become divided nation? So
say real quick, like, what is the point of being vague about this? Like, you're either against a thing or you're not. Why are you putting tea leaves out there? Like, that's cowardice. That's him going, he's never going to run again, but he's still like, no, I don't want Republicans to be mad at me. It's like, just say white supremacy is bad. How hard is that?
No, totally. And it's also very strange because it's like, it's the playbook that neocons and neoliberals really pull from. Like, it's no wonder that so many outlets like love that he said this, but it was like, again, really, really coded and not clear at all. And again, kind of the stuff that usually you get to say to kind of get away with everything. And that was sort of the like flowery language that we invaded 2+ countries with.
It's like Republicans, you're supposed to dog whistle the bad things, not the good things. Like you're supposed to be openly against the bads, like he's accidentally using the dog whistle for the wrong thing.
Totally. There's more, of course. So he's wondering why. How did we get like this? What's happened to this nation?
When it comes to the unity of America, those days seem distant from our own. Malign force seems at work in our common life that turns every disagreement into an argument, and every argument into a clash of cultures. So much of our politics has become a naked appeal to anger, fear, and resentment. That leaves us worried about our nation and our future together. I come without explanations or solutions.
Oh, no. We know you don't have either of those two things. Oh,
never been his thing. Yeah.
Bro, like 8 years, man. The one thing I don't got is explanations or solutions. But the clash of civilizations, how do we get like this? How do we become so divided, Jesse? And that's the same guy who said this in 2001, 2002.
Time when religious bigotry.
Oh, wait, no, he said this, might be.
Either you are with us or you are with the terrorists.
Yep, some real
Yeah.
unifying language there.
Yeah. The entire world. You're with us or against us. Maybe that's when we started to become a little bit divided. Either you're a terrorist or you're not a terrorist. Cool. All right. Final thing that he said that I want to play for y'all. He talks about like things were so good. Like, oh my God, actually, see, I know like you might remember it different, but like here's him gaslighting you about what actually happened after 9/11, how sweet everything was.
Time when religious bigotry might have flowed freely. I saw Americans reject prejudice and embrace people of Muslim faith. That is the nation I know.
We embraced the people of Muslim faith as we separated them and detained them. That's how we embraced them.
At a time when nativism could have stirred hatred and violence against people perceived as outsiders, I saw Americans reaffirm their welcome to immigrants and refugees. That is the nation I know.
Yeah, see, we took the outsiders and we put them on the inside of planes that we then flew to black sites and tortured them. And when American soldiers urinated on the Quran, yeah, that was a sign of respect in the Muslim faith. Like that's what you do. And yeah, we love refugees so much. We had like a special list for them. I don't know if you remember this. There was like a whole list just of Muslims and immigrants. And like we gave them enhanced screening, which enhanced just means like screening with love, you know?
Oh yeah, totally. And water, as much water as they could drink.
Oh my God, you know how hard it is to find water, like good water these days?
Absolutely.
We give them all the water. It's just it's so cruel. Like, who is he talking to? There are ostensibly survivors, or not survivors, but family members of people who were killed, on that day in the audience, knowing full well that he's lying through his fucking face, and they have to sit there and pretend like this is all good.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And like every former president does that sort of legacy making where they're trying to like frame their history in the way that portrays them in the best possible light, but like, the difference between Obama's like, hey, all those good things happening. I laid the foundations for that. Right. But Bush is like, I wasn't so bad. Like just the way it's like it betrays a little bit of honesty about what they actually know that they were like, like.
Oh, yeah. But Bush is that's his charm. Trump has they're both brutes. They're like they're so brutish. And Bush, in another point of this speech, he's like, a lot of people disagree about the policies we were doing after 9/11. And he's almost laughing, as if, I feel like Dubya ate so much popcorn to the withdrawal from Afghanistan, being like, I did that, right? Like he doesn't give a shit. This dude relishes in the chaos.
Yeah. I mean, but good for him that like he hasn't aged a day. Like he looks like the exact same peach colored California raisin. So like, awesome. Way to go, dude.
He does kind of look like a golden raisin. His face just looks like
He's got the exact contours. You look at a raisin and tell me that's not George W. Bush.
Just like a blushing raisin, it's amazing. If you kill like a few people, like it sort of it haggards you, it really weathers your skin. But if you're responsible for like hundreds of thousands of deaths, it's like there's an incomparable glow.
Totally. Yeah. And people, if you want like revenge on Bush, like you don't like him, you want like a revenge fantasy, just buy some raisins and like look at those and be like, George Bush. Nah, nah, nah. And then you get that. It feels good. It's cathartic.
That's about as much accountability for the events after 9/11 that we'll ever get, really, for the war crimes. Yeah, no, nothing to do with the Hague, but man, you're gonna chew the shit out of those golden raisins.
Yeah. That's the worst we can do to him.
What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. Do it.